Wait, you have a sister? Yeah. Is there such a thing as wild hamsters?
Which I'm absolutely certain Zach doesn't do. Which I'm absolutely certain Zach doesn't do.
Where is it? Oh, from Chloe.
Hi, Chloe.
Hi, Chloe. I want to be a vet when I'm older, and I was wondering if your sister has any advice.
Yes. Now, obviously, my advice is going to be quite British-centric. Here are my top tips if you want to be a vet. First of all, there's no getting away from the fact that you're going to have to do well at school.
Oh, you have to do so well at school. You have to be really good at all your exams.
Yes, you have to be good at exams. You have to get good grades. The veterinary course is inevitably intellectually demanding. There's lots of information. There's lots of science. We are scientists as well as
in real life, not just on TV.
Exactly. But also, most vet schools will want to see proof that you are passionate about animals. And I think the one thing to remember is that we learn about all different animals. So I trained with cows and horses and sheep. Even though I've only ended up doing pet animals, I learned about everything.
I was just thinking when you went lambing and when you go and live on a farm for a bit.
So you want lots of experience with lots of different kinds of animals. And if you live in a very sort of inner city environment and you don't know any farmers, have a chat to your school. Maybe there is a city farm nearby that you can go and see, a petting zoo, something like that. Prove that you are interested. Stay passionate, and you will find the work experience. The other things are something that maybe stands you out. So in the UK we have really high and very strict animal welfare rules, and one of the rules is in the abattoirs where animals are being slaughtered, there has to be a vet on the premises at all times to make sure that animal welfare is paramount during that time. Abattoirs in the UK cannot function if there is no vet on the premises. So doing some work experience maybe in your local abattoir sounds a bit grim, but it'll really set you apart as a candidate because not a lot of people realise that. And then the other thing is, a huge part of being a vet is dealing with people. The animals are the ones that are poorly, but the people are the ones that bring the animals in. So masses and masses of our job is talking to people, communicating with people, explaining things.
Oh my gosh, that's Helen. That's what
she could join. Helping people during some quite difficult emotional times. So you've got to be really good people person. Being able to prove that with applications to vet school particularly is really important. So, if you've done some volunteering, even if it's not with animals, if it's with people, old people's homes, with children, even if you've had like a job, if you've worked in a bar or on some like telephone call centres, stuff like that, to prove that you're good, you have to be a good communicator. You have to like people in this job, and that's something which often gets forgotten.
Hey, that is such good advice, because it's quite nerve-wracking. I get really nervous going to the vets because
Yeah, I guess so. I think a lot of people, you're often in a lot of situations where people maybe are really worried about their animals, and you've got to help them understand maybe some difficult medical concepts, judging quality of life, that sort of thing. It's tough.
Big issues, yeah. Also, on the theme of being a vet, what is the hardest part of it?
The hardest part of the job actually kind of relates to what we were just talking about with people. People are the hardest part of our job. Everybody thinks that the hardest part of being a vet is putting animals to sleep. That's what we get all the time. Let's park that to one side and say, actually, although it sounds a bit cruel, it's really not. Euthanasia is a really important part of my job. It is something which we do that is a kindness to animals. We do it when we can't relieve suffering or illness or pain, and we can take that away. Our pets have no concept of the length of life, and they live in the moment, and if they're poorly sick in that moment and we know we can't make them better, then euthanasia is not hard. Euthanasia is something which I really value as a really, really important part of my job. The hardest part of my job is dealing with the people. So it's really, really tough when we are having to deal with people who are stressed, who are rude, who have left animals with treatable problems, who don't appreciate that their animals are in pain, who blame the vets for their problems a lot of the time. There are some situations where people have neglected their pets, and sometimes that's not through cruelty, that is through ignorance. They haven't appreciated there's a problem, but it's very difficult for us because we know that that shouldn't have happened. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, you have to pay for veterinary care. That's where a huge amount of the problems come from. It's not free, you have to pay for it. And we get some of the hardest parts of our job is when people cannot afford to pay for their pets, and then they blame us. And, you know, if you really cared about animals, you would do this free. If you really cared about animals, you wouldn't charge me. You don't care about pets, you only care about making money. And it is so hard to deal with that, because at the end of the day, we care desperately about pets. That is why we're in this job. That's who we are as people. So when we're accused of not caring because we charge you for our services, it's really, really difficult. But at the end of the day, medical care is expensive. We can't work for nothing. You need to pay for that care. And if you're struggling to pay for that care, don't be rude to your vet. Ask us for help, because there's more than one way of dealing with problems sometimes. And sometimes there are cheaper ways of solving things, and sometimes there are more expensive ways. But that's what's really hard, dealing with angry, stressed out people.
Oh, yeah. So be nice to your vets.
Be nice to us, please.
Octavia asks, do turtles really breathe out of their buttholes?
Well, that is the 180, Octavia. Thank you very much. So, yes, they do.
Stop! They do not. No, they don't.
Well, it depends on your definition of breathing. So breathing is technically the act of taking in oxygen and getting rid of carbon dioxide. Yeah. So that's what you're doing when you're breathing with your lungs. There are some types of turtles, when they are hibernating, that do that gaseous exchange out of their bottoms.
Oh
so
my
they take
God.
in oxygen and they get rid of carbon dioxide. So technically, it is a similar process to breathing. What they aren't doing is sticking a straw out of their butts and sucking in the air and blowing out the air.
Zach, did you hear that? Come here.
Don't give him any ideas.
He needs to hear this straight away. Can you just come in a sec?
Yes.
I can't believe you didn't hear that. I thought you were
Yes.
listening.
Now, Zach, I know that you are good at, how can we put this, gaseous exchange out of your bottom. Gaseous expulsion, anyway.
Yes.
Or gases around the bottom area.
This last question was, do turtles really breathe out of their buttholes? And basically, it's a yes.
Oh my gosh, so I'm a turtle.
With caveats.
Well, it depends if you suck in gas as well as take it out.
You know
But
what?
I don't want to give you any ideas.
Lucky.
But there is a certain gaseous exchange that happens in some kinds of turtles. Yes.
Wow. It's like new meaning to having a turtle head.
Right, that's enough now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi guys.
I got quite a lot of questions about what type of dog Maggie is. I don't know. She's a rescue. We've never done the DNA thing. I've heard that it's not overly accurate anyway.
I think there are question marks over those DNA tests and how accurate they are. But I know a lot of people have done them. But Maggie is a small black Maginator.
Yes.
She is who she is, and we love her for it.
Exactly. She doesn't shed, so that kind of cancels out some breeds, but she's a rescue, so we don't really know. We sort of think miniature Schnauzer, Maltese. People have said quite a lot of Wassalapso. What's that? Assalapso?
Lhasa Apso. Lhasa Apsos are small and hairy. No, they're not often. Well, no, actually, I think you can get black ones. There could be some of that in there. There could be.
How'd you say it again? Assalapso.
Lhasa Apso.
Could be a bit Lhasa Apso.
There we go.
Cat the Vet, where can people find you?
You can find me on my Instagram, Cat the Vet. You can find me on Facebook, Cat the Vet. You can find me on Twitter, Cat the Vet. You can even find me on YouTube. I have got a little YouTube channel. I share all sorts of things, funny stories, interesting stories, stuff about animal welfare, stuff about animal health, things that I'm passionate about, things that make me happy and things that make me cross.
What about your blog, though?
Oh yeah, so I've got a website, catthevet.com.
All Cat the Vet.
Yeah, our mum and dad did a good job of naming me, really. Nominative determinism, it's called, when somebody's name matches their profession. Like Mr. Cut the Barber or something like that.
Oh, there you go. But also, you've got a TV show.
Yes, yeah, if you are in the UK. But actually, I think it is international. You can find me and some of my vet friends on a TV show called The Pets Factor. It's a TV show for kids, but I hear a lot of adults like it as well.
Oh my gosh, it's so good, I'm gripped.
Cameras will follow me and 3 other vets as we go about our life at work, and it follows our patients as they first come in, as we operate or do what we need to do, and then when they go home again as well. So it's like a bird's eye view of what happened in a veterinary practice, behind the scenes, as well as all the bits that you will have already seen if you take your pet into the vet.
Yeah, and it's very informative as well. I always learn.
Very educational. That's very important. This is the BBC, my dear.
Oh,
There have to be.
No less. Yeah,
It's on the Beeb.
yeah, the Queen loves it. Before we cheers, can Elizabeth get a pet leopard, or is that not recommended?
No.
Right,
No.
right.
No, well, you've seen what happened with the pet leopard. It's a slippery slope to the Tiger King.
Also, I never wear real leopard. It's always faux.
The nearest you'll get as a pet is a Bengal cat, but they are bonkers mad. I wouldn't really encourage that in a flat just right now. It would be about twice the size of Maggie as well. So, yeah, I'm not sure she would enjoy that much.
No. Well, thanks, Kat the Vet, and thank you for your questions, everyone.
Yes, thank you ever so much. Cheers.
Bring it up to it. Bring it up to it. No, the camera. The Yes, there we go.
Cheers.
Yes.
Chin chin.
Chin chin, tally ho.